Hello and welcome to episode 1180 of The Sleeper and the Bust. It is Friday, May 26th. I'm your host, Paul Sporer, joined this morning by Justin Mason. Justin, good morning.
Good morning. How you doing?
Oof, I'm doing all right. I'm tired, as you are. You're always more tired because it's always earlier over there, but it is an early one. I'm doing well, though. How's your week been?
Kid has been sick, which has been brutal. The nice thing about school ending is hopefully she won't get as sick, though she's going to be going to summer camp. So who knows? I'm sure she'll still keep getting sick, which is
school just ended, right?
No, she still has like another week. So
okay. My niece ended. Her last day was yesterday. So I didn't know how uniform. I know it's not like uniform across the country or anything, but I didn't know how close.
No, it's not even uniform. It's not even uniform in the same area. Like my older child is out next Thursday, and then my younger child is until I think the 9th or something like that. So
and then when do they go back? Because my sister said that my niece is going back like the earliest ever, August 10th.
Oh, ours is like August 16th. It's like I mean, they barely get a summer.
That's what I said. She's like, it's over 2 months. They'll be fine. She says as like a mom and the mom of the neighborhood that takes the kids everywhere all the time. So she's like, 2 months is plenty. So I get it from her perspective.
Mm-hmm.
But I think it ends up being 10 or 11 weeks or something. But they'll keep her busy. So that's good. Anyway, let's talk some baseball. We got a little bit of news to discuss. And then we'll get into some two-star guys. Let's start with Jake McCarthy coming back up for Dom Fletcher. You know, Fletcher hit the ground running. Was looking like maybe he's overtaking this job from Alec Thomas because he was playing a lot of center as well while McCarthy was out. But now McCarthy's back, and it boots Fletcher back to the minors. Fletcher had come back to earth, too. It was a really heavy BABIP-influenced success, hitting 308 with a 373 BABIP. A little bit of pop, couple homers, 0 for 2 on the bases. McCarthy, I'm pretty intrigued by, though, because he was supposed to be a dude this year. There was a lot of expectation for him where he was drafted, and it's been rough so far. Now, you look at a 160 BABIP, you got to give him some leeway on that. It's part of why he's hitting 143. 7% homer to fly ball for McCarthy, eating up the power. Not that he has a ton anyway, and he's 2 for 4 on the bases. Where are you currently on McCarthy? Is he somebody that you're picking up if he's available in shallower formats? Are you out on him? Where do you currently stand?
I mean, he was the guy that I was down on, comparatively speaking, to the market coming into draft season, just because I felt like a lot of what he did last year was unsustainable. That being said, like you mentioned, he was just getting really, really bad BABIP luck. I think his XBA was like 253. So like he should have been hitting 60, 70 points higher. And we know he's got speed. Like, I don't know that I buy the power that we saw last year, but the speed is absolutely legitimate. A guy who could be game-changing in the speed department. So, I mean, if he's available in your league, if people dropped him and he needs stolen bases, I think he makes a lot of sense as a pickup this week.
Yeah, I think so, too, with McCarthy being a speed pickup. I also agree that the power skepticism is where I share things. And I wasn't sure that he's somebody that could totally be trusted to deliver even kind of relatively modest power. I'm just like, I don't know what exactly we're getting here with Jake McCarthy. I wrote him up for the I wrote him up for the forecaster, and you know, there was a swing change and some recent minor league work that had some power, even though his underlying numbers were like, we're a little skeptical here. So we'll see what happens with McCarthy. I agree. If you need some speed, and he has been cut, which is certainly happening, especially with him being on the IL. Or wait, was he just flat out sent out, or was he on the IL?
Yeah, he was just flat out sent out. Like,
that's right.
Which was surprising because the Diamondbacks had
so bad.
Yeah, but the Diamondbacks are a smart organization. So like you would think that their analytics department would be like, listen, we know that he's, struggling, hitting his own body weight and stuff, but like he's getting super unlucky here. But
I think part of it might have been though, like, you need to clear your head a little bit. This might be weighing on you. because things just aren't working. You never know those ends of it, right? Without being close to the team or having a source that lets you know, because it might have just been one of those things, because it was dreadful, man. And you got to wonder if he's just carrying every negative AB, thinking that I got to get 4 hits out of 1 at bat for Jake McCarthy to get out of this funk. So we'll see what happens. Definitely pick him up where you need speed, but temper those power expectations. I think it could be a single digit pace, not just single digits from here forward, but how you would pace it out over 162 could still be a single digit home run total. This guy could give you power, though. Maybe you can make up for the missing Jake McCarthy power by getting Nolan Jones as a Colorado Rocky. He's set to be called up this weekend. Came over from Cleveland this offseason. Got a lot of power, got a lot of swing and miss. By the way, why can't Ellery Montero get called back up? He's actually tattooing the ball in AAA. In fairness, though, so was Nolan Jones. 12 homers, 5 steals, and a 1193 OPS, which is good for a 182 WRC plus. I point that out because obviously AAA in the PCL can be very friendly. You can see some really gaudy numbers, not really generate off the charts WRC plus totals. But even scaled here, a 182 is still really good at AAA. Is Nolan Jones hitting your mixed league radar heading to Colorado?
I think so. It's always hard with Colorado guys, though, because you just never know how they're going to use them at the major league level. I mean, Jones is a guy who's shown that he can hit for power, but he just swings and misses so damn much. I know things were better in AAA this year. I mean, he only had an 8% swing strike rate, and only striking out 23% of the time while hitting for power and average and stealing some bases. I mean,
the 5
stolen bases.
5 on the stolen bases is really catching my eye here with Nolan Jones. And at AAA last year, it was only 55 games because he played some in the majors. He was 4 for 5. So now you take his whole AAA time. Oh, and he played AAA in 2021 too. Okay, wow, we got to see if this guy can really stick or not. But he is now 19 for 22 at AAA in stolen bases for Nolan Jones. So I don't know. Power is all I've known him for. I don't know if this is real speed or if this is smart base running. But even if it is just smart base running, that can be rewarded at the major league level too for Nolan Jones.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, I think if you're looking for power, especially if the Rockies have, I haven't checked their schedule. I should double check this.
Well, they're just coming off of a full home stand, so I can't imagine that they have another week of home games. They might have one of their series.
I think one of their series
is full home. They go to Arizona and to KC actually, but the whole week on the road this upcoming week. Do you think that'll temper bids on Jones?
Maybe a little bit, but it shouldn't affect him as much because he hasn't been in Colorado, though. Is their AAA team in Colorado? I think it's Colorado
not anymore.
Springs.
I think the Colorado Springs team got moved to high A because it was so wonky, and every pitcher died there.
Yeah, maybe that won't affect him. They've got 2-way series, but then they come home for 2 home series next week. So they're I would love to see following week.
I would love to see it tamp down bids a little bit, right? That'd be kind of cool if it keeps Nolan Jones bids, in check. That way you can maybe get a piece of Colorado without overpaying. It is 7 games at least. Now, is Nolan Jones a lefty? He is. And I am seeing just 2 lefties next week too. So this is not a bad setup. I like this, even though it's road. I like this pickup of Nolan Jones.
Yeah, I mean, I think especially if you need power is such a hard thing to find this year. I mean, I know one of my biggest issues is home runs right now. I've got leagues where I'm leading in runs and RBIs, but in the middle of the pack in home runs. So Nolan Jones is one of those guys where it's okay, I could definitely use him to kind of beef up my my CI or my outfield, depending on where he's eligible. So, I'm interested. I'm definitely he's definitely a guy who's going to be on my radar for FAT this week.
Yeah, I'm going to see where things are at. If I can utilize him, I think Nolan Jones could be a nice pickup. Let's get into the 2-step pitchers. Got a bunch of them this week. Obviously, I don't include the obvious guys. You're not going to tell you that Zach Gallen is a start. Y'all know that. We definitely are going for him. But let's start with his teammate, Ryne Nelson. Gets a double home step here. Colorado and Atlanta. Is that worth taking a shot on Ryne Nelson anywhere?
Oh, it's hard because like the Colorado one is for sure, especially because he's quietly been really, really good his last few starts.
Yeah.
And so, yeah, it all comes down to command with him. When he's given up home runs, like he's just an unusable pitcher. And when he's not giving up home runs, he's a pretty interesting pitcher. It's hard because his last 2 starts that have been really good have been against teams that really, really struggle against left-handed pitching. And, you know, the A's are awful just against pitching in general. And the Phillies
pitching.
Yeah, the Phillies have been like one of the worst teams in baseball against left-handed pitching this year.
Yeah, they have
25th in Major League Baseball, if I remember correctly. So the Rockies are a team that aren't bad versus lefties, but this is their first series on the road after a long homestand, which is always something the Rockies struggle with. And Atlanta is pretty good against lefty pitching as well. So I think this is probably what I'm going to skip, but I can understand making the argument for him considering how good he's been recently. I just think it's probably a facade because of the teams he was facing.
Yeah, I think that's fair to not necessarily believe in what Ryne Nelson's been doing because he's been picking on the schedule. I'd really like to be in a situation where I could, a daily league, I think I might take the Colorado shot in a deeper situation. But then I know Atlanta, I think in their last 30 days, they haven't been as strong. I still don't think I want to take a shot with Ryne Nelson against them. Now
it can just go so bad so quickly.
You were talking about Philly against lefties. Ryne Nelson is a righty.
Oh, why was I thinking he was a lefty?
So
then definitely not. I definitely well,
does that make the Phillies start more impressive though? Because they're not struggling as much against lefties.
It definitely makes it more impressive, especially because he had no walks. He did give up 4 walks against the A's, which
that's something.
Yeah.
Don't love that.
Yeah, I don't know. I think he's just one of those guys that you stream in good matchups. So again, the Rockies start, I can make the argument.
Is the Rockies at home good enough to take on the Atlanta? Okay. That's really the question then for like 15 teamers and deeper. Otherwise, I don't think you want to get in on this, and I totally understand it. Let's move over to Bryce Elder. This is more for shallows because I think he's an easy start in deeper leagues. I'm not even sure that I almost didn't put him on the list. If anything, I wanted to put him on just to give him his praise as Bryce Elder, somebody that I'm starting pretty much everywhere. So my answer. I'll give you the matchups. They're at Oakland and at Arizona. Even if they were a good bit harder, I think I'm slam dunking this. Elder's been wonderful. He has an NL best 2.01 ERA with a 1.17 WHIP. The ERA will go up, sure, but you look at a 3.45 FIP, and that can give you some, good feeling about where he's at. Are you starting Bryce Elder pretty much everywhere? Because that's where I'm at right now.
I mean, I think you have to, but I mean, this is pretty fraudulent. He's a guy who just gives up so much con. I mean, it's a 4.25 xERA. He gives up so much contact that at some point balls are going to start finding the hole. He's been lucky in the strand rate. I guess the BABIP's not super lucky or anything like that.
296. The left on base rate is pretty gaudy, 87%. You're looking at like low to mid 70s is kind of the average. He was at 79 last year. Elder was for 54 innings, a similar sample here. I don't know. I mean, again, I'm not saying 2.01 ERA, but I look at the 3.77 Sierra, 3.45 FIP. What's the disconnect between like Sierra and xERA? Why are they so?
I mean,
I'm not familiar with the inner workings of xERA. Pardon me.
I'm no data scientist when it comes to X guys. So maybe this is a better question for like Alex Fast, but my understanding is, given the situations and the batted ball profile, like the xERA is what he deserved, whereas Sierra kind of takes more into account just underlying skills, and so the underlying skills are still pretty good, right? 3.77 ERA. I don't know. I think these things heat up in the summer. I think balls are going to find more holes. Balls are going to go over the fence.
57% ground ball rate too, though,
Yeah.
and big cut into his walk rate. Elder cut from 10% last year to 7% this year. He has been kind of up and down in the minors. I mean, he doesn't have a lot of long stops. Like AAA last year, 7% in 105 innings. That's pretty good. AAA the year before was only 37 innings, 14%. So, literally cut it in half. I think over his career, Elder has been a better control guy. I don't know. I like him. Obviously, with the Oakland start here, it's pretty easy to start this week anywhere. But I think I'm a little bit more bullish on him long term than you. He looks like he schedules for Washington after this, which I'm okay with. They don't strike out a ton. He doesn't get a lot of strikeouts. He'll probably have them hitting weak grounders all over the place. So
yeah,
I mean
they're really bad against right-handed pitching. So I think that they're a much better team against lefties. So I mean, you just kind of keep rolling with Elder until it falls apart. Because I mean, this could be a Miles Mikolas type season like last year, where he just kept it going, even though you were like it was scary the entire time. So yeah, I'm rolling with Elder until the wheels fall off. I mean, he's not available pretty much in any league. He's like 87% in Yahoo. So
that's good. That's good. So he is starting to be heavily rostered everywhere, as he should. Bryce Elder looking pretty nice. So just want to make sure that those shallow league folks have the confidence to start him as they should. What about Tyler Wells? He gets Cleveland and a trip to San Francisco. I like Tyler Wells. He does a lot of good. I think he's kind of like maybe a premium brand Yusei Kikuchi. Decent skills, strikeout and walk ratio, 19%, but a home run problem. The thing that saves Wells over Kikuchi is that his whip is down, so that he's not putting on a ton of guys. But 167 BABIP says, be careful. 88% left on base rate says, watch out. So I'm looking at the 392 Sierra against his 345 ERA. And there's a 406 xERA. So there are factors here that like what Tyler Wells is doing. Are you going to take on that home run risk and start him here versus Cleveland at San Francisco? I'm going to go with a yes. What about you, Tyler Wells?
Yeah, because the home parks are so good. I think I will. I mean, the home run rate at home isn't great, but it is better than it is on the road. Canada just does such a good job of protecting. San Francisco's a pretty good place to pitch. I'm not super worried about San Francisco's offense, even though they haven't necessarily been bad. So yeah, I think
you don't run from them. You're saying
no, and exactly. I agree. Yeah, there's just they've got individual players that you're like, okay, you're a little bit afraid of Conforto, and Conforto swinging the bat well.
He's been hitting well.
Yeah, he's been fantastic. Which is like one of those things where I'm so worried about the trade deadline for San Francisco because they've got him on that 1 year plus the opt out year. So are they gonna be able to trade him because they weren't able to trade Rodon last year?
That will be interesting because he can opt out as long as he hits 350 plate appearances. There's a chance that we pretty much know that by the deadline. He's at 180 right now, but Conforto is raking. Could be some nice trade opportunity there, at least for the second half. With what he's doing. I hope he stays healthy. I like Conforto. It's nice to see him healthy and raking right now. I'd like to see a full season from him. But yeah, we're going to go with Tyler Wells here. He gets KC the following week, which they did get to him a bit for 3 homers at the beginning of the month in KC, which was kind of annoying and spoiled what could have been a really good outing. He still got the win there, 6 innings, 4 runs, 4 strikeouts with the win. But yeah, I like where Tyler Wells is at. The homers are a little bit worrisome, but deep league formats, I really like him. I think even in shallows, I'm going to take the 2-step opportunity here. What about Brayan Bello? He gets Cincinnati at home and Tampa Bay also at home. So double home start, bringing in Cincy, bringing in Tampa Bay. Tampa Bay one is, of course, scary, but Brayan Bello, interesting young arm. Is there enough there that you're going to take this on and take on the Tampa Bay start with Bello?
In spite of the fact he gave up 2 home runs, and home runs have been one of his biggest issues as a starter, his most recent start against the Angels was the most impressive start, I think, of his career. Like, he was really sharp. The breaking stuff was amazing. I he got hit for 2 home runs. That's all he gave up because he didn't allow a single walk in the entire outing. Went 7 innings. So
yeah, a couple solos. Moniak led the game off with 1, and then Matt Theis got him in the 5th, and that was it off Bello. 7 innings, 6 hits, 2 runs, 6 punchies, no walks, like you mentioned too, which is really nice there. And the Angels are terrifying right now to go against.
Yeah, and I mean the hard part with this 2-step is Tampa Bay is pretty terrifying to go against too.
Sure.
So I think I would roll with it in 15-team leagues because he's been so impressive. And I mean, what was my big fear about him when we talked about him a week or 2 ago was that at some point they were going to send him back down to the minor leagues. But now that Kluber's out of the rotation and
made
into
the
the
move.
bullpen, I think he's safe for a while. So
I think so too. They realize his upside is rich. Sorry, go ahead.
Well, they realize there's a future with him, whereas Kluber doesn't have a future in Boston.
Exactly.
So,
There's no reason to keep starting Kluber. He just doesn't really have it anymore, and I think it'd be foolish to stick with him over Bello. So, I start Bello in 12s as well, and I would consider it in 10s.
Yeah,
depends where I'm at, but I
think it depends. Yeah, I mean, like,
I don't know
if he's a must start in 10s or 12s.
I agree, but I think it's firmly on the table for Bello.
For sure. Yeah. I think he's worth arguing for.
Shallow leagues only here with Marcus Stroman. I don't think you have an opportunity to really sit him in deep leagues unless you've got a great rotation, and good for you. It is Tampa Bay and at San Diego, though. I feel like Stroman's been himself, which is a really quality mid-rotation kind of guy with a decent ERA and a good whip. But are you starting him in shallow leagues? The K's, per usual, given that he is the Stroman that we know. The ERA is better at 2.95, but the core scales say he's the same guy he's always been, mid to upper 3s FIP. And the K's are light, and Tampa Bay's on the slate. So with those factors, are you starting Stroman in a 10? Tampa Bay and at San Diego?
I mean, I think it's definitely dependent on the rest of your team and what your other options are, but I think he's definitely viable to start.
What about versus Bello?
I think it depends on how bad or good your ratios are. If your ratios are good and you're trying to protect them,
maybe go Stroman.
Yeah.
And if you're chasing K's and Dubs, Cubs haven't been bad, but the Red Sox have been better. Yeah. I don't know who has the better win potential there. I'm not going to necessarily give that to Bello 100% because he's more likely to go 5 and dive, whereas Stroh can go 7 easily. So I think they're very close. I do agree with you to kind of maybe look at what your team makeup is right now between ratios and strikeouts, and maybe let that be the deciding factor. They're both firmly on the table for 10-team consideration.
Absolutely.
And neither being a must. All right, what about Ben Lively? Had another a good outing. Was it his first good outing or second? He had a good outing. I do know that for sure. Let me pull it up here. Let's see. He has 17 good innings. So it's 2 starts, 2 relief appearances, 27% K rate, 5% walk, good for a 2.65 ERA and 0.88 whip. It's a very small sample, but things are going well right now. Tiny BABIP, obscene left on base rate. Those things will smooth out. Ben Lively has to go to Boston, which for me kind of eliminates it, and we could move on, but I'll go through the whole thing. At Boston, home to Milwaukee, some early success from Ben Lively. Is it enough to get you intrigued for the Cincinnati right-hander?
It is. The skills look really good and interesting. I'm not letting the ball get put in the air. He's given up a lot of contact, and when the ball is in the air, it is going over the fence, which is a bit scary. So
yeah, because even with this setup here, with all that good stuff I mentioned with the BABIP and the left on base rate, Ben Lively does have a 1.6 homer 9. So that's like kind of the one fly in the ointment, but it's a big old fly.
Yeah. I don't know. Like I feel like this is one of those like situations that can go really wrong really, really fast.
Completely agree. And with the at Boston, like I said, that is pretty much exclusionary for me at that point where I'm out. Like, I think I'd start Ryne Nelson over him.
Oh yeah, I for sure would start Ryne Nelson.
Okay, so now I think we're pretty fringe on this. And again, I
think he is a 15-team gamble at best. And I
Yep.
think there are going to be teams where they go, would I rather have one good start, from, Joe Schmo pitcher as opposed to a really bad, potential two-step from Ben Lively.
I think that's a great way to put it. Like Michael Lorenzen at the White Sox. They're not hitting particularly well.
Yeah. I think I would probably
that's
go
a
with
debate.
Lorenzen. Yeah.
I think I would too. So yeah, be careful with Lively. Except that Red Sox one, I just can't get over that. Milwaukee's not scaring you right now, although they can hit homers. That's kind of the one thing that they can do when they do rise up. So be careful with the Lively start. Just want to make sure that this guy's an auto start for you. I feel like he is, but I just want to check in on Logan Allen with Cleveland. He's going to Baltimore and Minnesota. Again, deep leagues, I don't think you have a choice. Shallow leagues, is Logan Allen just set it and forget it for you?
I think so at this point, though. There are some concerning things with the underlying skills. He gives up a lot of contact. He's got a 4.02 Sierra.
Okay.
I do wonder if he is just getting a tad bit lucky. Let's see what his xERA is. xERA is 4.95.
Oh,
so he's actually deserved almost a 5 ERA because of the amount of contact he's getting. Just finding gloves, I think, for the most part.
Well, not even all the time, though. 10.5 hits per 9.
Yeah.
That's the thing here. But I like the 12% swing and strike rate for Logan Allen. 16% strikeout minus walk is a solid foundation. Not allowing too many homers. And you have to wonder, is it a 347 BABIP because he's getting knocked around a bit? Or has he been unlucky to have such a high BABIP? What do you see anything in the underlying skills here that tell you one way or the other on that with Logan Allen and his high BABIP?
I think the BABIP definitely should. I mean, I don't think it should be 347, but he does put a lot of balls in play. He's given up almost 88% zone contact, and people are really aggressive on him in the zone. So he's not getting people to hold off when the ball's in the zone.
11% barrel rate is pretty high too. Yeah.
Yeah. I feel like he is kind of walking a tightrope right now. I can't talk at 6 o'clock in the morning. And I do think there are going to be some, I don't want to necessarily call them blow up, but bad outings, down the road.
5 innings, 4 runs type of outings. Those ones that can kind of pile up where they're kind of stinky. Now, if he gets the Ks, he's at 23% strikeout rate. And if he leverages that 12% swing strike rate for a few more Ks, you can soften the blow on those. And if his offense, that's the tough part though too, is last year when a Guardians guy maybe had a 5-inning 4-run, they could get a win because the offense was good. This year, it's that's an auto loss. They lost 4-1 probably because the offense is so dreadful. So that does make it tough. I do still think I'm sticking with Allen here, but I think you're right to point out that it's not all sunshine and roses, and you should still be checking in on him week to week. Let me tell you this. He has Houston the following week. They have not been super scary, but we know they can still rise up. Let's say this goes fine. One of the starts is mediocre and one of the starts is good. You can pick which is which between the Baltimore and the Minnesota for Logan Allen. So you come out of the week feeling the way you do currently about him. Would you then start him against Houston, Logan Allen, in shallow format still?
I think even before this two-step, I'm looking to try to trade him in leagues.
I think that's fair because I think there's still some hype.
Yeah, there's still hype. He's a top-tier prospect, and you might be able to leverage the fact he's got a 2-start week as a way to dump him this week for something of value, maybe offensively. So, if you're in a place where, you're not going to get fair value or you can't trade, you're just rolling with him and hoping for the best. But yeah, some of the underlying numbers scare the crap out of me a little bit.
Do you think? Now, I know I've had some folks in my Twitch chat. They've shot higher than this. So you might originally think Paul, you're crazy on this one. But going higher than what I'm about to say hasn't really worked. So do you think you could do a Christopher Morel, Logan Allen trade?
So one guy is walking a tightrope for another guy is walking a tightrope.
Pitching tightrope for hitting tightrope, but both teams kind of have that offensive and
I don't know. I think you might need to include more than Logan Allen right now.
That's kind of what I'm thinking. But like I said, if you go too much higher on the pitching, at least anecdotally, I'm talking a few people in my chat have come in trying to get other guys that are above Logan Allen, but not crazy. They're not asking for Spencer Strider, and it hasn't been working. I think at least the anecdotal market is worried about Morel enough to not trade too much pitching.
I know on the Sunday Rotor podcast, Jeff went through the Yahoo trades that have recently happened for Chris Morel, and one of them was Michael Harris. And I'm that's
an interesting challenge trade.
It is an interesting challenge trade, and I mean I think I'd do that in a heartbeat if I'm the Morel owner.
You'd take Harris.
Yeah, just because I mean if Harris continues to struggle, I think he's still at least going to play because of the defense. And I mean the contract they just gave him, right?
And so, I would too, by the way. And we say that as anti-Harris guys.
Yeah, we've been anti.
We didn't like him at his price. We're not saying that he's going to stay at a 31 WRC plus, but I too would take Morel for him.
Yeah,
and I think that could happen. It did happen. The Yahoo trade was read off by Jeff, but I do think that could still happen. It's just interesting selling Morel out there because I think people are interested, but they're not going to pay full price. And I wonder if Logan Allen just might be a, like you said, tightrope for tightrope type of guy trade there that you might be interested in if the needs match up. How many fucking two steps this guy got, dude? Kyle Freeland at Arizona and at KC.
And they're both on the road again.
That's what I'm saying. They're double road.
Do they just not pitch him at home just to try to, take
I would appreciate that.
Yeah.
So, okay, the week that we first talked about him, I was more pro. You were anti. You were right. And I got talked out of even bidding on him by the famed my friend Greg. He's my Bob Sacamano here.
Good reference.
Thank you. His most recent bad start for Kyle Freeland was on the road at Texas. No shade because Texas is tough, but it wasn't even in Colorado. His two previous starts in Colorado were both gems. And then the start before that was at Pittsburgh. Great. He's been great for 5 out of his last 6. The problem is that 6th, that start at Texas, 2 innings, 8 runs, 5 of them earned, 9 hits, erases probably all 3 of the previous good ones. That's the problem and the scary part with Kyle Freeland, which is what you were trying to point out when you were so stridently against him. But with the double roadies here at Arizona, at KC, is there any deep league interest here now that we're a month and a half after we originally had our Kyle Freeland discussion?
I mean, not for me. Even, I mean, the underlying numbers are just so bad. They're just so bad.
I know,
even on
but they
road,
always are with him, right?
He's got a 485 xFIP and a 542 FIP on the road this year. And the strikeouts disappear on the road.
And there aren't many to disappear as it is.
Yeah.
How do you disappear something that doesn't exist?
He's got a 20% strikeout at home and a 12% strikeout on the road.
Oh my God. This is Kyle Freeland we're talking about.
In a 138 road whip. So yes, the ERA is sparkling at, at home and on the road, but his whip is a killer. So no, I don't think I am I just,
and no Ks to protect it either, right? Because the bad
got
whip,
93.5% zone contact rate. Nobody is people are swinging, but they're not missing.
You were talking about Logan Allen having trouble at 88. This is 5 points higher. So had to bring him up.
That would be elite contact for him.
Yeah, exactly. You would love that. Had to bring it up just because he's becoming a little bit of a meme here, but I'm also not going for this at Arizona at KC. And I will say, people know that Arizona is a pretty decent team, even against lefties, because they do have a lot of lefties. But they're 11th at home against KC or against lefties in WOBA. But KC is 14th. So they're not, it's not like it's one up, one down here. I think KC against lefties, you got to be a little careful with too, because they're actually hitting that side of the ball. And if you go last 30 days, which I often like to look at to kind of see where a team's at recently, KC jumps up to 9th at home against lefties. So I think we're out on Freeland here. You'd have to be pretty low in the rankings to go for him. All right. What about this dickhead? No, I'm just kidding. I keep roasting him, but I do like Michael Kopech. I want him to be good. He's not on my team anymore. I do wish him the best. It's 2 gems now, though. and he looks different, right? I don't know if you've watched either, or if you've just studied the number. He's different than the guy that we were lamenting a month ago.
He's looking like the guy he was in spring training that we were super excited about. This has been so frustrating because in my main event, I got the most recent one, but I didn't get the one previous. And in my auction league, I started Kyle Bradish's 2-step over him for against, instead of taking him and Yuri Perez's 2-step. So that's
Perez did all right in Colorado.
He did okay, but like,
I mean, you survived. You're starting him for the reason you started him was for the weekend start. The Colorado one wasn't the one that's supposed to like pop off for you.
The weekend start could crush you too because it's like at Los Angeles.
That's true. It was a really difficult 2-step for Perez, but I co-signed going. Yeah. So what about Kopech here? He gets the Angels and Tigers. Sorry, Angels and Tigers at home. What do you think?
I think he's a must start right now.
Like, I think so too.
I know that the Angels, are a tough team, but the Tigers are not a tough team. And I mean, he is just pitching lights out. You just kind of praying he keeps up these skills that we've seen over the last 2 starts and stays healthy because I mean, health has always been a major issue with Kopech. So. I'm rolling him out everywhere I got him. I still have him. I didn't drop him in any leagues. So
good on you for staying the course.
My stubbornness pays off.
There you go. Sometimes it works. I think this was Mike Kurland who said this, but I'm not. Maybe it was Chris Towers. One of those two. Maybe none of them. But I want to say it was one of those two who were talking about Kopech and saying, yes, I have changed my opinion in 2 starts because he is markedly different right now. And he looks like a different pitcher. So why wouldn't I? Like, why would, talking about stubbornness, like, why would I just bury my head? I cut him so I could be like, oh, no, he sucks still. I hate him, blah, blah, blah. No, I look at the Kopech here in the last 2 starts, like we've said, this was the guy that you and I drafted thinking like he could be a gem for us as a later round pick. And so I have changed my tune in 2 starts. I do believe he's a auto start this week with the 2-step. I'll tell you this much too, even in a daily league, I would start him against the Angels, even if I didn't have to, and I could still get the Tiger start. I'm seeing where this goes right now.
I mean, every single one of his pitches is better right now. You look at like the pitch values on every single one of his pitches, and they've improved. And I'm rolling. I think he's a must start against any opponent right now.
Yep. Michael Kopech, we're in. I didn't put Giolito on because despite yesterday's start against Tigers, I don't think we're worried, right? He walked a bunch. They burned him for it. I think it's just a bad start, but he's pretty much back. Okay.
I think I don't know if he's back, but he's back to being a must start. So
yeah, I mean, go look at the skills. He's back. I think he's the guy he was in 2021. And frankly, the skills were pretty much there last year too. That was the tough part about Giolito was that the hit rate was the big difference, and some walks too. But that was kind of the issue. But I think his skills are pretty much right in line outside of those walks from yesterday. Let's move on to Matthew Boyd. He gets Texas at home and then a trip to those White Sox facing the aforementioned Giolito. Matthew Boyd, I'm a Boyd boy. I like him, but it really hasn't been there this year. This looks like old Matthew Boyd from the Tigers, who was a home run machine, who just is nerve-wracking to watch. I'm probably sitting this out. I want him to be good, but I don't know if I can get there. The last 2 starts have been okay. I mean, the KC start was actually pretty good, but he only went 4 2/3 with 1 run because they ran his pitch count up to 86. Where are you at on Matthew Boyd right now?
No, not against Texas. Texas
that's the scary part.
Yeah, their offense is just so good right now. Dolis Garcia is like the MVP of the league.
Up. By the way, that I want to point out, it wasn't just like pitch count. It was playing the matchups too. Bobby Witt was coming up, and so they thought it was the time to go to the righty there and not give Witt a 3rd shot at Boyd. So anyway, but yeah, Texas is particularly scary. The White Sox are not, but I don't think I want to take on the Texas start just to get the White Sox one with Matthew Boyd. He hasn't been good enough to earn that.
No, not at all.
Okay, let's move on then to the 2 Houston guys. These are their lower end. Brown, Valdez, Javier auto starts, but JP France, Brandon Bielak have done some things. Each of them have kind of shown some flashes. I don't know if either is getting here, especially when I tell you the second start. They're both at home. I'll give you the good news there. Minnesota and the Angels. JP France, Brandon Bielak, any world where you're starting either?
Oh, yeah, I think in 15-team leagues, I'm definitely entertaining it.
Both
yeah.
or one or the other specifically?
I think both. I mean, they've both been fairly good. France's big issue is can he keep the ball in the yard, which is a little bit more scary against the Angels than it is for Bielak.
So is Bielak's, though. He's up at 2.1 right now as well.
Yeah.
So they're both home run machines, but they've shown some decent underlying skills. 15% strikeout minus walk for France, to only 12% for Bielak because he doesn't miss bats. Although I will say his 11% swinging strike rate could be generating more than his 20% K rate. So there is a little upside there. But he's rocking a 92 left on base rate, Bielak is, and that's saving him. It's 90 for France. Wow, they really are kind of carbon copies of each other.
Yeah. But Bielak's whip is 154. So like,
because that
only really giving you, let's see, what is I mean, at least France's whip is 119, so it's not murdering you in the same way. And France's underlying skills are a little bit better. It's the 81.6% zone contact. The problem is he's just not getting the swings outside of the zone, and so the swing strike rate is pretty paltry. But he's not allowing a lot of contact. So I think if I'm making a decision between the two, I'm starting France over Bielak. But I think, oh man, you know what? I probably wouldn't start Bielak. I
no Bielak for sure for me. Yeah. And France is at least
deeper leagues only,
deeper consideration, but not a must here. I think we talked about this randomly, but I want to point it out again. KC has such a weird schedule next week. They play Monday, Tuesday, and they're off Wednesday, Thursday. So bizarre.
Why? I just don't get that.
I don't.
Because last time I think it was the Cardinals.
There has to be something. Well, they are playing the Cardinals, so the Cardinals might have the same schedule. Maybe that's what.
Oh, maybe that's
what it is. Yeah, you're exactly right. So they have the same schedule because they're playing KC. Then they both get those 2 days off, and then they have a 3-game weekend. It's not that it's not the 5 games either. We're familiar with the 5-game. It's that it's usually Monday off, Tuesday, Wednesday play, Thursday off. It's the 2 days off in a row that is particularly weird to us. So I don't know. I don't know what's going on there, but it's interesting. So KC has no 2-step. Let's move on to the Angels. Jaime Barria. Always had a soft spot for this guy. He's not super great or anything. He's not like a prospect or anything anymore. He's 27 years old, but he's always been kind of decent. Always put up some decent bouts of work. He's at a 161 ERA and a .86 whip right now in 28 innings. Obviously, those are sky high or very low, as it were, but he's above his skis is what I'm trying to say. 25% K rate, though, 6% walk. There's some elements here that are definitely working. 333 Sierra. Is Jaime Barria on your radar at all with trips to the White Sox and Houston on tap?
Man, the Houston start is so scary. But the skills are really good, like you mentioned.
Is it scary with the way they've been playing lately? Houston, last 30 against rights
I know.
At home. They're 28th. I know. They're Houston still, right? They've got talent.
Houston. Yeah. I mean, talent up and down that lineup. I think the skills are good enough where you can risk it in deeper leagues. I don't know
for the full year, 23rd in WOBA. Sorry. I just want to say Houston. They're not. I would consider it in deep. I'm playing it Barria in deep leagues. I'm considering it in 12s.
Yeah, I think it's fair.
So yeah, I like Jaime Barria. Check your wire. He's a lot of availability. He's not a 2-step, but I just want to throw in one other guy on their team because he's somebody I've been recommending at points this year, but he keeps disappointing me. Is Griffin Canning on your deep league radar?
No, I mean
he's just not doing enough. I get it, by the way.
I think any pitcher with a intact UCL in deeper leagues is probably on your radar. So, but
did you say any pitcher with an intact UCL?
Yeah. So
he's coming off 7 scoreless against Boston. That's another reason
it was not impressive. It was not
okay. I didn't see it. I'm box score scouting on that one.
Yeah, you can go read my roto write-up from that day, and I broke it down. Like he just got lucky. Like it was not an impressive start. Like the pitches did not look good.
There was only 5 Ks. 3 walks. So that makes sense from what you're saying there. Okay, so don't get too hung up on that. And he gets a trip to the White Sox. Like you said, he has an intact UCL, so it's something to look at in 15s. But I think the name
This
value
one, this
keeps
is
getting
yeah,
to me.
this one could go like extremely wrong in both. Like this is one
Yeah.
where you can just get burned twice.
Be careful with
Yeah.
no, he's not a two-step. He's just a one. I just wanted to
Oh,
bring him up
okay.
because
Yeah, no,
he kind of catches my eye every once in a while, but he's available for a reason.
Yeah.
This guy had a great debut. He's going to be the hot fab pickup of the week. You comfortable with Bobby Miller home to Washington and the Yankees after his debut?
I mean, I think you have to start him no matter what, but I do not feel super comfortable with this two-step. Washington really good against left-handed pitching, and
Bobby Miller's a righty.
Why do I keep doing that?
There's certain guys I do that with. In fact, one of them we talked about today, and I'm pretty impressed that I didn't do it. I always make Bryce Elder a lefty. I think it's because he's like, he's got like the low strike. He's kind of a crafty guy. I think my brain just automatically flips him to lefty.
Oh, it's because it's because Miller bats left.
Yes. So you've seen the L up there in the upper right of his profile, but that is bats left, throws right. So Washington and the Yankees.
He was super, super impressive in that start. Like it's 100-mile-an-hour fastball with, pretty good breaking stuff. It's still the Yankees though, and that does scare me a little bit. But I don't know. Like
he could might not get Ks against Washington.
He could be mediocre though in both starts and still get wins. Like all he's got to do is get to 5, and the Dodgers. I mean, I guess you say arguably, but they're the best team in baseball. In spite of the fact they lost so much talent, like they're still like so frustrating as a Giants.
We talked about it all offseason too. Yeah, we're like they're not the full-on Avengers anymore. This, that, and the other. They don't have the pitching depth. They're 31-20.
They're still still the Avengers. Like they just they replace Robert Downey Jr. with whoever, and they just keep rolling.
They
along.
moved down a couple from the Iron Man and the Captain America to like second tier comic book characters that if I had more knowledge I would name, but like they're still amazing. They're
like Winter Soldier and I don't know. Like I don't know. I'm not. I don't know enough about Marvel to like.
I watch a lot of them, movies, but I don't know all the back. I watch them, and I got to be honest. I forget what had happened in the one previous to it, but I just enjoy them. I go there for my 2 hours of enjoyment.
They still have Groot. Groot's still there.
So Groot's there. I love the raccoon, and in the newest one that I haven't seen yet, there's an otter with the raccoon. That's for Guardians of the Galaxy. I do want to see that.
I'm looking forward to your review of that movie.
I cannot wait to see. I just want to see the otter.
It was very good.
I heard it was. Sandy Alcantara, you're not benching him anywhere. He survived in Coors. San Diego, Oakland, both at home. This could be a good week to get right for him, by the way. Adrian Hauser, trip to Toronto, trip to Cincy. I think those are eliminating on their own. Like he's a streamer. There are worlds where he has the right 2 matchups. These are not those. These are home run friendly places against home run friendly teams that could make Hauser look bad. Let's get Minnesota, Sonny Gray, Joe Ryan, automatics. Kodai Senga. I don't think he's necessarily an automatic in shallower leagues because of that whip. He gets Philly and Toronto at home. The walks are the issue. Everything else, comes together pretty nicely. But I say everything else, those walks are really poisoning the whip. It's a 1-5 whip because of a 15% walk rate, Justin. 29% K in a sub-4 ERA. So you like that. Win probability is pretty high with the Mets, even though they're not playing their best right now. Are you taking the Senga shot in shallower formats? Let's zero in on 10s and 12s here, because I think in 15s you got to kind of roll with him with those Ks, unless you disagree. But what do you think about Senga, Philly, Toronto both at home?
This is tough because the matchups are really tough, but he's also been really, really, really good at home. He's got a 1.57 ERA at home this year. I mean, he's really just gotten murdered on the road, and even like the whip at home is 117. And I mean it's super small sample, so it's hard to really determine is that just kind of luck of the draw.
5 roadies and 4 at home. Although it's funny because the road starts at Oakland, at Miami, at your Giants. Like he hasn't had the toughest road gauntlet, and at home, he hasn't at home either. Colorado, Miami, Toronto, Tampa Bay, and Washington. So It's been kind of
And
an easy schedule overall.
The walk rate is the same. Like it's
Yep.
14.7 at home and 14.4 on the road. It's all just about his hit rate at home being markedly less. So I think this is a deeper league only kind of play, just because the matchups are so potentially devastating against Toronto, against Philly. But I think I'm rolling with it in a 15-team league.
I think you have to with Senga, that strikeout upside, the win potential. I mean, you don't have to. There's a world where maybe you have a good enough staff, but for the most part, I'm going 15s. I'm passing in 12s and 10s where I can avoid it, especially because there are some streamable two steps here that we've been talking about that I would sit Senga to pick up. Maybe even this one. Domingo Germán goes to Seattle and to the Dodgers. You talk about a home run guy. It's been his problem his entire career. Everything else he does around it, though, is quite good. 26% K rate, 15% swing strike rate backing it up, 5.3 hits per nine, which is excellent, 3.75 ERA, 0.90 whip. And that ERA whip discrepancy is pretty much due to the homers. If he didn't allow so many homers, he would have a much better ERA to go with that sparkling whip. Can you take on the Domingo Germán scariness to go at Seattle and at the Dodgers this week?
No, the matchups are just too bad for me. Like I don't think I can. I mean, I think in deeper leagues.
Okay.
I think in deeper leagues, people are going to make the argument. I'm still trying to avoid it if I can. I mean, it's just.
I'm definitely going to go for him in deeper.
Would you do like the one good start from somebody over Germán?
If we use the one we did earlier, the Lorenzen one, no. If you can find a tougher one, maybe. What about Blake Snell at Miami versus the Domingo Germán two-step?
I think Blake Snell is unusable right now.
Okay, so that's not even good enough then. What about where are you putting like a Logan Webb against Baltimore versus
I'm doing Webb. Yeah, I'm doing Webb for sure. Like I don't think that's a question for me.
Alex Wood against Pittsburgh. I'm trying to find the right range here to even get you to think.
I think that is the right range. I'm probably going with the Germán two-step because at least you have two shots for a win.
Yep.
Oh, sorry. I lost me for a second there.
Yep.
I'll say it again. I think I'm probably going the two-step for Germán over the one for Wood, just because then you get at least two shots at a win for Germán as opposed to potentially not even getting one, because Wood doesn't always go 5 innings. So
that's fair. I understand you having some trepidation in Shallower, but I think I find myself landing on this in a decent number of spots. The LA one is terrifying. It doesn't matter which LA, it is the Dodgers, but like Dodgers, Angels, both would scare me. But the trip to Seattle, I do like, and hopefully T-Mobile can protect Germán's homers a little bit and set me up nicely on Monday to where I can take a little bit of heat on Sunday at the Dodgers. But if I can avoid it in shallower leagues, I am. I will say this. This is an instance where if I had him in like a 12 or 10 and I didn't use him, I might not cut Germán. I could see a world where I don't start the two-step, but still keep him, even though we often say if you can't start in a two-step, cut the guy. Let's move on to Paul Blackburn returning. He's back. I know it's Oakland, so the win probability is so far in the ground you cannot find it. He gets Atlanta at home and then a trip to Miami. So 2 good venues, his own and then a trip to Miami. Is that enough to get on the Paul Blackburn train coming off the IL, though? First starts of the year.
I don't think so, especially because there's like very little strikeout upside with Paul Blackburn. So now you've got very little upside in strikeouts, very little upside in wins.
No win upside, not very little.
Yeah.
None.
And the potential to just get absolutely shellacked versus Atlanta. I wouldn't start him on your team, much less mine.
I like when you said that one. That one's funny. Yeah, no, I agree. I don't need to expound any further. Great first name, but that can't save you here. Ranger Suárez at the Mets and at Washington. Now you have a lefty you can talk about and how Washington
Yeah, he is a
never
lefty,
strikes out
right?
against them. This is an
Yeah.
actual lefty. Suárez at the Mets and Washington. What are we thinking here?
The Nationals are the third best team in baseball against left-handed pitching.
There you go. You finally get to use
There
it.
we go.
And they don't ever strike out against lefties.
Yeah.
They don't strike out against anybody really, but lefties they really don't.
Mm-hmm. I've got Ranger Suárez in a number of leagues where I either picked him up or I stashed him, and I'm not even using him this week in a two-step. I just think it's potentially just too dangerous, even though the Mets are awful against left-handed pitching. So
they are not very good.
Oh, this is tough.
I think you got to consider it in 15s, right? At least on the consideration list.
Well, I will say the Mets don't strike out against lefties. They don't hit lefties, but they don't strike out either. So,
So you got little strikeout upside against these two teams here, Washington and the Mets for Suárez, and he's not a huge strikeout guy to begin with, so that could really undercut you.
Yeah, and actually, the Mets are actually not good against lefties. So no, so you got two teams.
No, I thought you said that.
No, I said they're decent against them.
No, and they don't strike out, and they don't really hit them.
308 WOBA is 22nd in baseball. Yeah, I think, so they are bad. They're not good against lefties, but they don't strike out. So yeah, I'm probably not touching this one.
Germán or Suárez?
Germán.
Suárez or JP France?
France.
Suárez or Ben Lively at Boston, home to Milwaukee?
Suárez.
Yeah, I think so.
I think that's the line.
Yeah, I think so too. All right, moving on. Our next guy is Rich Hill, Dick Mountain. Trip to San Francisco, home to St. Louis. I can't time this guy to save my life, man. Like when I'm doing the SP chart, I'm recommending or going against him. I'm like, no, this hasn't been going well. I don't think you need to go for it here. 6 shutout innings. I'm like, okay, cool. Well, maybe I'll consider him here. 5 earned. I have no idea. So I don't know. The problem is you could get 7 total innings with him, right? You just never know. He's 412 years old. But you look up, as you often do on Rich Hill, and you're like, oh, there's some encouraging things here. It's a 4.27 ERA, so this is deep leagues only right now. But it's a, 52 strikeouts, 17 walks in 52 2/3. Like there's still some good elements there. He does give up too many hits, too many homers. It's a little nerve-wracking anytime you're using this guy, but is a trip to San Francisco and home to St. Louis worth considering for Rich Hill right now?
Well, he's only given up 1 home run in his last 6 starts. So
that's beautiful.
Like he's been a really, really good pitcher. If you don't care too much about the last really bad start against Texas, which I think is understandable just because
we'll give that Texas a pass.
Yeah. The Cardinals are the 5th best team in baseball against left-handed pitching. The Giants are the 3rd worst. So it's kind of like,
one up, one
are
down.
you willing to take the shot on a guy against the Cardinals because you know that the Giants are so bad? The Giants are just atrocious against left-handed pitching. I think I am. I've got him. I picked him up, I think, in my main event last week because I saw this
savvy coming. Yep. I love that move.
And I knew that I had enough pitching where I wasn't going to need him this week. So I am rolling him out in that league next week and just praying to
see what you got.
Yeah, I got to pray to those gods on Dick Mountain and hope that
go stand on high on Dick Mountain and praise to them. Yeah, I think I'm with you here. It's a consideration. Let's go back to Suárez real quick. Suárez at the Mets in Washington or Dick Mountain?
Dick Mountain. Yeah, no, okay. I'm taking Rich Hill.
Dick Mountain against Domingo Germán.
I'm taking Rich Hill.
Okay. Rich Hill versus Jaime Barria.
Taking Rich Hill.
I think I'm Barria there. Rich Hill versus Logan Allen. I found your break point.
I think I'm taking
consideration point.
I think I'm taking Rich Hill.
Okay. So you like Rich Hill quite a bit.
Yeah, I do. I mean, the Giants are just so bad against lefties.
Yeah. So you're really hoping to get like 6 innings, 8 Ks on that one, really set the foundation to where St. Louis hopefully doesn't just totally erase the hell out of it. So we'll see. All right. Ryan Weathers was he started this week. There were some pickups for him. I imagine that, some of the savvier folks were doing what you did with Hill, where they saw, okay, he's set up for a 2-step. So if he does well here, then I'm setting myself up for a potential 2-step. 6 innings, 5 runs at Washington, but 4 of them earned, 4 strikeouts. We talked about how good Washington is against lefties. That's why I'm saying it wasn't that terrible of an outing. But now Ryan Weathers gets, hang on, let me find it. Sorry, at Miami, and then home to the Cubs. Is that enough for you to consider Ryan Weathers in any deep formats?
Both teams are top 10 against left-handed pitching this year.
No, that's a hard pass.
Yeah,
that's a hard pass. I don't think we need to go any further than that. All right, moving on to Yusei Kikuchi. I mentioned him earlier. I forgot he was even on this list when I did mention him. I forget who I compared. Oh, Tyler Wells. I said Tyler Wells was like the premier version. Milwaukee and at the Mets for Kikuchi. Also a lefty, by the way, if you have any good lefty stats. Just an absolute home run machine, man. And that's why even when things looked a little good early on, I didn't buy it for the life of me. He's been giving up a 2-homer 9 all year. It's at 2.5 now. Easy no for me, but I'm open to listening if you want to try to sell me on that 16% strikeout minus walk being worth starting here. Milwaukee and at the Mets for Kikuchi.
Let me talk you into it, okay?
Okay, I'm listening.
We talked about the Mets who they don't strike out against left-handed pitching, but they're not good against left-handed pitching. Milwaukee is the worst team in baseball against left-handed pitching this year.
Really?
275 WOBA and a 31% strikeout rate against left-handed pitching. They both are in the bottom 10 in ISO versus left-handed pitching. If you're gonna use Kikuchi, now's the time.
Yeah. I think you're right. Damn, you might have talked me into at least considering it.
I think this is one where people are going to go, Kikuchi's so bad, there's no way I'd even pick him up. And I think he's going to be a pretty cheap stream on a 2-step against, like I said, Milwaukee is by far the worst team in baseball against left-handed pitching this year.
And that 31% K rate, Kikuchi can leverage that. He gets his swings and misses for all his flaws. That's one thing he does.
For context, the Giants and the Twins have 27.5, 28% strikeout rate. He's for the second and third worst teams against left-handed pitching. 31% is like 3 to 4% higher. Like that is
crazy.
Milwaukee is atrocious against left-handed pitching.
Okay, you know what? I'm in the consideration at least here. Let's throw some names. Kikuchi versus, let's start with Germán.
I think I'm going Kikuchi.
I mean, they're both home run machines because it's the Dodgers there. I think you might have brought me all the way to where I'm now taking him over Domingo Germán. What about Kikuchi? Logan Allen. Let's go right to Logan Allen again.
I think I'm taking Kikuchi.
I think so too. And then against the guy I said was the premium version of him, Tyler Wells. I still think it's Wells for me.
No, I mean, if you're going to go with a homer machine, at least you get the strikeout upside with Kikuchi going up. I mean, they're both potentially going to give up home.
Cleveland, San Francisco for Wells is really nice. How are you guys against righties? How are the Giants against righties?
We're much better against righties.
Okay, so that Cleveland is a nice setup, but San Francisco definitely a little scarier than. Okay.
Let's see. San Francisco is the 9th best team in WOBA against right-handed pitching this year. However, Cleveland is the worst team in baseball versus right-handed pitching, but they don't strike out. Oh, wait, no. He is Cleveland, so he's going up against, you said, who's the second one?
No.
This is Wells.
It is Cleveland.
Wells. Yeah. So, yeah, they're the worst, but they don't strike out. It's a 19% strikeout rate against righties.
Second best as far as lowest. Cleveland with that strikeout rate. Okay, that's fair. I do think that they're pretty close. I'm not as strident Wells as I was. You did
Yeah,
sell
I
me.
mean,
Good job.
yeah,
I'm
I
still
tried.
scared because home runs are terrifying, but I
Mhm.
will consider Kikuchi in deep leagues. He is a considerable pickup where he's available. Um, what are you going 12s with Kikuchi at all? Do you think, or
I
too
think
many
I can
other
make
options?
the argument, but that's difficult. Like, I
Okay,
mean,
yes, we'd have to see what's available from these
it can
guys.
all go wrong. I mean, like,
Yeah,
when it's
anytime you're a
Yusei
home run guy.
Kikuchi,
Yep.
yeah, like it can all go wrong pretty quickly.
Totally agree. Last guy here, I don't think it's a yes because of the matchups, but I got to give Trevor Williams some shine. He's been a decent deep league streamer this year. He's put some
Mhm.
decent things together. Now, again, because it's LA, the Dodgers, and Philly, Dodgers on the road, Philly at home, that's pretty scary. So it's probably an easy no for me. But again, just wanted to put a little spotlight on him. 4.32 ERA, 124 whip. Those don't jump off the page at you, but for deep leagues, there's been some streamability. I think it's really just to give him some love for that, unless you're trying to sell me on this two-step. But what do you think of Trevor Williams and what he's been doing this year?
I mean, yeah, he's been kind of a really nice matchups play in deeper leagues. He's one of those guys like that kind of fell into the Patrick Corbin and Madison Bumgarner tier of starting pitchers that I would grab at the end of draft champions. And so, like, I have used him quite a bit in leagues where I'm just absolutely decimated with injuries. But
Yeah, and you
I
need
think
something.
I think I'd rather start a crappy middle reliever and
I
know
think
that
so.
at least I'll only get 2 bad innings this week as opposed to like 12 really bad innings, because the Dodgers are the second best team in baseball against right-handed pitching, and the Phillies are the 8th best. Just no thanks.
Yeah, that's the problem with these matchups here. Again, just really wanted to kind of underscore the fact that there has been some deep league viability. It does not come to the forefront this week. I would not start Trevor Williams anywhere, but maybe if the matchups lighten up next week and beyond, then you start considering him again. All right. Who's your favorite of this group? Is it Dick Mountain?
Um, yeah, I mean it's Kopech, but like,
Oh yeah. But that
yeah,
he's only shallow availability.
yeah. I think Dick Mountain is probably my favorite, and I think Kikuchi though. I mean, he is one of those
Yeah,
guys
he's
where like,
gonna have some availability too.
yeah, he's going to be available in a fair amount of leagues. So like if you're especially leagues where like IL spots are rampant and stuff, like,
Mm-hmm.
there's a lot, that means there's a lot less on the waiver wire than there normally would be. I think Kikuchi is one of those guys that I'm gonna take the gamble stream with. It's definitely risky, but I'm interested.
How much this time next week will we be cursing Michael Kopech if he fails against the
I
Angels?
I I mean, it's not the failing. You understand if it's against the Angels, it's against the Tigers.
Yeah, that's
If he
true.
comes
So
out and
that's the
fucking
weekend start.
if he comes out and walks 5 and gives up 2 home runs against your Tigers, I'm going to be screaming at you. Like,
Yeah, yeah.
it's
It'll be
not
my
really
fault,
your fault, but
but it will be.
it'll feel like your fault. Yeah.
Again, I'm not wishing that for him, even though I cut him. I hope he does well. I'll be fine with the fact
I
that I cut him.
need him to do well.
You need him to be.
He almost single-handedly brought me to like under 5 ERA. Like, I'm so close right now. So
Yeah,
um
I'm now in the I root for him because he's a pitcher I do like, and I just want him to be good because when he's good, it's
mhm.
fun. But
Yeah.
I no longer have the vested interest because I cut him, and I don't regret it. I'm happy with where my pitching is not my problem. So I sound like I'm coping. Maybe I am, but
You're co-pecking.
I am Kopeching. Again, but again, you look at my team, if he could hit, then I would be having the issue because I still have single digit hitting points. I know it's up to 11. Oh, my offense is popping off, dude. But I have 46 and a half pitching, which is like 4th or 5th in the league. So it's like, it isn't my pitching. But anyway, I don't want to get into a diatribe about my team. Justin, what do you got going on this weekend? Anything going for Memorial Day?
I mean, my kid's sick, so probably not. I
Oh,
will be
yeah, that's
recording with
true.
Jason, so
Excellent.
that'll be
You,
nice. So,
you don't got a
uh,
guest?
we don't have a guest as of right now. I may try to
Okay.
see if I can pull someone in, but we'll at least get an episode up Sunday morning
Or Dark
afternoon.
Monday. So
All right.
you and I can figure out what we want to do with that. But Fangraphs is off on Monday, so enjoy your time. Hopefully, the kid is doing better. Maybe you guys can hang out or whatever. I'll be streaming all day Monday, watching some baseball. So if people want to hang out doing that,
Nice.
we'll be doing that. But Justin, have a great weekend. I will talk to you later.
Take it easy.